What's up guys, I'm BTC, welcome back to the Respawn where I answer your questions. Today we're talking about Minimaps, Brigitte Rework, and more. First question for today, are you currently working on a Baptiste versus every hero? Yes, I've already done a bunch of the image work and some of the scripting that should be out in the next couple days. Do you think changing Brig from a healer to a bruiser would work, take away the AoE heals, and give her 400 hit points? I don't think that's necessary. I think keeping her as a support, as a healer, is perfectly fine. The problem is going to happen when Blizzard adds the 222 forced roll queue, which I do think is inevitable. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but when it does happen, there's going to be some problems, because even Jeff Kaplan admitted that Brigitte is absolute garbage when used in a 222 lineup. If there's only two healers, you never ever want to run Brigitte because it's just trash. The reason why she's so strong is because you can run her as a third in a GOATS comp or even just a regular triple support lineup. And that's one of the problems that they're having with balancing her, because she's still completely garbage in 222, but she's really good in GOATS comp. So there's lots of problems, and they're definitely going to have to address that later. I think what they're going to do is they're going to have to give her some significant buffs once they put the 222, because she's not going to work at all if it's 222. Can you feed your healer ult charge by damaging yourself with Pharah Zarya? No, you cannot. Any self-inflicted damage does not give you ult charge when it's healed. When will Baptiste go live? Probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Is Lucio Baptiste's son? So apparently this is voice line. I haven't heard it myself. I keep seeing this. I don't know if this is just people making stuff up or if they're trolling or whatever. But from what I understand, Vishkar is the company that made all of the equipment that Lucio uses, because in his backstory, he goes and he steals all that equipment, the audio, sound equipment stuff, from Vishkar, and that's where he gets it from. Now, it's possible they could retcon it. I mean, they've done it a dozen times. They retconned D.Va, they retconned Brigitte, they retconned Reaper, they retconned Mercy. I mean, they've done it so many times in the past, and the story is such garbage that, I mean, what's another retcon, right? So, I mean, it's possible. I don't know. How many characters do you think is too many to play? You really want to focus on 2 or 3. I wouldn't go past 4 characters, though. If you had to choose between GOATS and Dive being the strongest meta, what would you choose? Right now, GOATS is undeniably the strongest meta, but the thing is, what would happen if Mercy still had her instant res, and she still had those 4 reses when she first got the rework? Would it still be Dive, or would it be GOATS comp? I don't think people would have probably discovered GOATS comp. I think they would have just kept running that Mercy version of Dive over and over again. But let's say, for the sake of argument, Blizzard just made Mercy into the same power that she had back when Mercy Dive was around. I think it would still be GOATS, but you would be running a Mercy instead of an Ana or a Zenyatta, because those instant reses would just be unbelievably powerful. Is D.Va viable in high silver, low gold? Kinda, sorta, not really. In that lower bracket, you're generally better off just running like a Reinhardt Zarya. D.Va requires a lot more teamwork in order to be effective, and I don't know, I think you're just better off running like Rein Zarya type stuff. What do you think of McCree's High Noon now? It's better. It's not complete trash like it was before. I don't know how good it's going to be. I think one of the major things about it, it's funny because I said that the only way they're going to make it better is if they give it a complete rework. Of course, I never considered the fact that they may add a character to the game that gives you literally immunity from death for like, 8 seconds or so. So, when you use the immortality field, obviously McCree can't die, so now you have more time in order to use the High Noon. So, it's better when it's used in combination. I mean, it's still better by itself, but when combined with Baptiste, he's definitely going to be a lot more useful. So they didn't need to rework it. They just needed to add a character that literally prevents you from dying. Is Baptiste helping GOATS or countering GOATS, or does it matter? He kind of helps GOATS. He kind of hurts GOATS. I think overall he helps it more than he hurts it. the whole idea of using Baptiste in the bunker, the Symmetra, Bastion, Orisa thing, that's kind of overvalued because, yes, you can use his ultimate and you can give the Bastion like crazy amounts of damage, but that's his ultimate and it only lasts for so many seconds and you only get that once every couple minutes or so. So it's not like you can constantly use it. And the thing that counters the Bastion, Orisa, Symmetra, even with Baptiste, is the same thing. It's Sombra. You just get in there, you EMP, and then the whole comp just completely falls apart. That bunker comp is still pretty much just going to be a cheese comp. It sometimes works, most of the time doesn't. But for Baptiste helping or hurting the Goats comp, there are so many other changes, we really don't know. People are probably still going to play some Goats, but if something else is more powerful, then they're going to quickly switch to that. What do you think of a weapon that does double damage to the shields, like Rein, Orisa, wins? I don't think double damage is necessary, although giving certain attacks and certain abilities extra damage is certainly a thing, and I think that could definitely work and help, particularly against certain kinds of double barrier or bunker comps, but I don't know, double damage seems a little much, but yeah, extra damage, sure. Did Baptiste match any of your hero concepts, or was close to any? Yes. In fact, I have a hero concept that is already done. The artwork, everything, the design. I finished the character like 2 months ago with all the design, and I have the video done as well. I decided not to release it because of the Hero 30 teasers, and I said, all right, you know what? We got Hero 30 teasers coming tomorrow, so I'm not going to release my hero concept just now because it'll just get lost in the mix. But there are some definite similarities between my next hero concept and Baptiste, and I have to actually go back and re-record part of the video because I need to put a little disclaimer in there. Like, I finished this like months before Baptiste ever came out, so don't come at me with this, oh, you're just copying Baptiste. Like, no, I definitely did all of this first. I mean, obviously Blizzard was working on their character at the same time independently, but it's not like anybody copied anyone. But yeah, there's definitely some similarities. Why is there still a stigma around picking Torb and Sim even after their reworks? Because they're still objectively some of the worst characters in the game. They are better, for sure, but they're still fairly bad. And they need to be improved even more in order to make them more viable, because they still have extraordinarily low pick rates, and you're still better off using almost any other character. For example, a lot of the times when you're going to use Torb or Symmetra, it's in cheese comps, or in very specific kind of niche situations, and that's just not good. You should have a character that's viable in most cases. Doesn't need to be viable everywhere and all the time, but at least more often than not. If a character is not viable in, less than 50% of the matches, then that's a problem. And that's basically where Torb and Symmetra currently are. Also Bastion as well. Bastion's garbage. Will Force 222, which characters would be the strongest meta? It's probably going to go back to Dive. It's some version of Dive if it's 222, unless there's something ridiculous again, like the whole Zarya, Grav, Hanzo kind of thing, where that was just really, really strong until they started nerfing Hanzo again. But otherwise, it's probably going to be Dive or some version of it. Are Sim's tarts affected by the charge of her gun? No, that's completely independent. Where is the Overwatch League daily recap? I had to cancel the series because it just wasn't getting enough views. It took a lot of work for Skill to go back through the videos, and then I had to do the image work and all the editing and all that other stuff, and they just weren't getting enough views, so it just wasn't worth it to continue making those videos, unfortunately. Which hero benefits the most from Baptiste being in the game? Definitely McCree, because now his ultimate can actually be used, and he also does significantly more damage with the ult and all that other stuff, Baptiste's ult, when you're trying to combo the Deadeye and Baptiste's amplification matrix. Plus, just in general, McCree probably benefits the most because unlike other characters that, like Ashe or Soldier 76, that have higher mobility that can get to high ground quite often, McCree generally is on the lower levels, and he needs extra protection from the enemies and what have you, more kind of buffering. And Baptiste provides that with the immortality field and a lot of the healing and stuff, so Definitely McCree is going to benefit the most from Baptiste being in-game. Do you think it's possible to see a monster mutant in Overwatch, not human, not animal, not omnic? Well, it might be some sort of like genetic experiment that kind of went wrong kind of deal. But if you're looking for them to just add a werewolf, I don't think that's going to happen. But if you're looking for something that looks less human, then possibly, yeah, sure. But it's still going to be based off of like a human-animal hybrid or something like that, or whatever. You know, another thing we haven't seen in-game is aliens. I wonder if that actually ever is going to be added to Overwatch. Probably not. Is it pronounced Baptiste or Baptiste? So here's the thing. I've listened to the in-game audio hundreds of times, and it sounds to me like he's saying Baptiste, like Baptiste. But I don't know. Sometimes I listen to it and it sounds like he's saying Baptiste. Sometimes it says Baptiste. Jeff Kaplan said it's Baptiste, but here's the thing. Whenever I make a video about the character, if I say Baptiste, I have a bunch of complaints in the comment section whining that you're not supposed to say the P, it's silent. And if I don't say it, and if I say Baptiste, then I have a whole bunch of comments complaining, there's a P, you're supposed to pronounce it. So it doesn't matter, like, I can't win. I'm probably going to just, like, alternate it all the time, just to mess with people. I don't know, like, I'll eventually figure out something, but I'll need to come up with, like, a goofy nickname for him or something. But, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Pronounce it how you want. What's the event you're looking forward to the most this year? That would be Archives, because it's the only one that's interesting. All the rest of them are just recycled garbage year after year. Like, it's kind of hard to get excited for Lucio Ball when it's the same thing that we've seen for the last 3 years, right? So Archives is the only thing that actually changes year after year. Would a radar in Overwatch where the player can see his teammates, enemies, and tool lasts for a second be good? Only small, 10 to 20 meters. Radar, basically like a mini-map. I think that could work. I don't think you should put the enemies on it. I think putting just your teammates would work. I think putting enemies on it would be too strong because it would give away people's positions and stuff. Like, for example, if someone's on high ground to your right or something. Like, okay, so let's say you're going on Nubani and you're attacking, and you're going up the main area, and someone is kind of hiding off in the corner back to the right. Like, let's say it's a Genji or a Reaper or whatever, right? If you have a mini-map that shows the enemies, then you're going to be able to see that he's hiding in the building or he's hiding up on top and he's waiting for you. So I don't think that would be really good. That would kind of take away a lot of strategy and other stuff. I think showing your teammates is fine, or just showing the map is fine, but definitely not showing showing enemies, rather. Baptiste can heal 60 per second AoE instant and murder. Why the idea of Mercy 60 healing percent single target and instant res such a tap? Okay, so here's the deal. And I talked about this when I was talking about the Mercy changes. Resurrect is not like any other ability in the game. It's not like Immortality Field, because Immortality Field keeps a player that's alive and makes them stay alive. So if a character has 1 health, they can still do 100% of their damage. However, a character with no health does no damage. They do no healing. They don't impact the fight in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So the difference is that the Resurrect takes someone who has no effect on the fight at all, dealing no damage, doing no healing, and suddenly brings them back into the fight. And that's different from preventing someone from dying versus bringing them back. So there's a massive, massive difference to that. And as I've said many times in the past, I don't think it's possible to really balance Resurrect without making it just complete garbage. Like, as it is right now, it's not really all that great, but before it was way too strong. So it's one of those things where I think they should just replace it. Just get rid of Resurrect altogether and give them something else. Next, do you think every hero should have a passive ability? I don't think it's absolutely required that every hero has a passive, but I think if they did, it would give Blizzard another tool in order to help to better balance the characters. Because there's lots of things that you can do on a passive that you can't do on active abilities. So if they have consecutive hits, then you get a little bit of extra damage. If you have a certain amount of time where you haven't taken damage, maybe you get faster cooldowns, or maybe you recover some of your health or something. There's lots and lots of things that they could do with passives that you can't do with normal abilities. So I think it's definitely a possibility, and they should add more of them, but I don't know if they ever would add a new passive for absolutely every character. I don't think that's going to happen. But that is going to be all of the questions for this week. Thank you to everyone who's submitted one. If you didn't get picked, make sure you try again next week. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. Also, come hang out in my Discord server and my Twitch live stream. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see what kind of cool VIP rewards you can get, check the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.